everybody, and welcome to Community Cleric. I am here with Elise, and I am so excited to see her tonight and to get to talk to her. You guys, this is our 25th episode. I am so stoked about this. I have been waiting for 26 weeks, actually, a little bit longer, to do this. So thanks, everybody. My name is Sarah. I am here in Mi'kma'ki. This is the traditional and unceded territories of the Mi'kmaq people. I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada, so northeast of Maine, and it's definitely later for me than it probably is for most of you, because I'm in Atlantic time. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. As previously mentioned, my guest is this ray of sunshine who is all about community and kindness and supporting others. If you ever get the chance to look through her Twitter, you will see, as you know, she does, tweet about her own stuff, which is awesome because it is great stuff, but well over that amount. She is amplifying other voices, like 10 times that amount. She's pushing other people's stuff. And we love to see somebody who shares the mic. So, Elise, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you're with me. Your link and stuff is in the chat. Hello, Chris Hopper. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey. Woo!
It's a fantabulous layout person that I work with. Chris, amazing.
That's so great. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris. Welcome to the stream tonight. Okay, Elise, I ask pretty much the same questions to everybody because I think it's cool to get like a slice of how everybody does this. So the first question is always, how did you become a nerd?
Oh, I think it runs in the family. I think some of my happiest childhood memories were gaming with my Grams. I spent a lot of time with my grandma and grandpa. Grams loved to play cards. She played solitaire, rummy, sorry, Chinese checkers. So I was always playing board games with her. My grandpa loved like Star Trek and stuff, so Star Trek would be in the background. When I was like 5, my parents got us the NES, and like it was magical because back then it was just Saturday morning cartoons. We didn't have cable. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. Like I've always lived in. I come from like a town of 3 stoplights, originally. So that was all to do was video games. So I went through all the systems: Sega, PlayStation, Xbox 360, and 64. I still video game. But yeah, I think I started out early.
And so you started out as a video game nerd. Were there other fandoms? Were you a book reader? Did you okay, so then this always becomes the next question is, was it fantasy or was it sci-fi? Because very rarely has it been something that's not that.
It's usually both. Like, I've really been into, like, in high school and middle school, started getting into like Forgotten Realms back in 3.5. All my characters were Drits. Sorry, everyone. It was Vampire the Masquerade. But I also really like sci-fi. I was really into Dune, really into Star Trek. Yeah, I like Lovecraft's really cool. But yeah, I read a lot of nonfiction too, so like history. So you'll see that in my stuff.
I love that. So you started out, okay, so talk me through some of your favorite video games. On any of the systems, what are some of your favorites?
Some of my all-time favorites. So a big one's Kingdom of Amalur. So it's made by Big Huge Games. Unfortunately, like they tanked and disappeared. So I don't know if they just didn't get enough advertisements out about the game. But it's open world. Some of the creators from like Oblivion, Elder Scrolls were part of the team. Beautiful game.
Oh,
Sound
shit.
changes of every area. Love it. Oh, what's the matter? Go ahead.
You know what? I have my mod just texted me. So in all of the stuff, remember I was like, this is a well-oiled machine. I know what I'm doing here. Do you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to change the background so that it's got your Feywild Jeep on it. That's only going to take me a second. It doesn't take long. Okay. Let me. I'm so. Man, come on, Sarah. I'm so proud of this Feywild Jeep.
Okay, oh yeah, I love Jeeps in the Feywild.
Love Feywild Jeeps.
I've been ducking people lately, so if anyone owns a Jeep and knows, we give out. So it started during the pandemic. as like a mood booster, someone started putting ducks out just to do it, and it became like a thing. So we get the tags and the ducks, and we put them on people's Jeeps, and then you collect all the ducks you got in the front of your Jeep. But it's just like a little positive thing, a little togetherness thing. We've done since the pandemic started. So I got a big box. I let my son go put them out there.
I
So
look,
it's fun.
first off, Singlis, thank you for telling me that I didn't update the background. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, you were talking about, okay, sorry. This game was
Or
called
sidetracked.
Prince of
Oh, Kingdoms of Amular.
Kingdoms of
Mhm.
Amular?
Uh, I think so. I'd have to look it up,
Kingdoms.
but it came out like 360 PC. So this was when I was in college. So it's probably like 2011 ballpark. Kind of around the same time
Kingdom.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out.
Oh, look,
Just open world video game.
I am an
So,
Elder Scrolls, not, I haven't played Oblivion, but I'm an Elder Scrolls Online fanatic. I have
nice.
logged beyond just like, you know how there's an amount of hours you can log in a video game that's like, that's serious nerd cred. I'm way
I do
beyond
not.
that. I'm scary dedication. I've
Yeah,
been playing Elder Scrolls Online since Morrowind, and
me too.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it so
Not
much.
online though. I've been playing since it got sold. So Black Isle Games was taken over by Bethesda. So I played the offline Morrowind, Oblivion,
Yeah.
Skyrim. Yeah.
So good. So I haven't played
Mhm.
Skyrim yet. Because I came in like right after Skyrim, and it is like a separate, slightly separate property. But yeah, I love it. I'm
Yeah.
not a big like MMORPG. I'm not a guild person because I don't have I'm a mom. I don't have like that. I can't always commit to you that I'm going to be there that night. Like if my family needs me, my family needs me.
Oh yeah,
Especially
exactly.
when she was younger, like
Oh yeah.
she just turned 13, so it's a little bit different. But like when she was younger, that's going to be my priority. And
Yeah.
so I struggled to be in that like guild system. So I was just like they call them overlanders. I just like did the world quests and like the story quests, and kind of tramped around on
Yeah.
my own. I had never even hooked up like a mic and headset to my PlayStation. I play on the PlayStation 4. I had never
Nice.
even hooked up one until like one summer break. I was like, I really do need to do some quest stuff, and it was like a whole new game for me. It was a lot of fun, but it was only like casual. The Fey Jeep, yes.
Yeah.
Elise loves Jeeps, and
Yes, I do.
we're going to, I guess now's as good a time as any. Talk to us about your Feywild expansion
Oh
game.
yeah. Oh, that's this. I got two volumes out right now. So it's Through the Veil, Tales of the Feywild, and Through the Veil, Treasures of the Feywild. Tales of the Feywild is actually my very first project I ever led on the DM's Guild, and it was something I thought would be really tiny, stock art. No one would care about it. But I was like asking folks, like, "Hey, anyone interested in doing a thing?" And I just got like a huge response from creators who were excited to contribute because this is my first project, well, lessons learned, but we got it published. And I like shout out to everyone on the Feywild team and all the other teams. I could not have done this without an amazing group of writers, artists, editors, layout. Yeah, Chris Hopper, you mentioned earlier, he did wonderful layout for volume two. It's so gorgeous. But yeah, so everyone poured their heart and souls into those volumes. But yeah.
I am so grateful for the Feywild content because I don't know about you as a DM. I love D&D. If I
Mhm,
have to choose a system, I am going to choose D&D. And to the point where like I have tried to play in other systems, but again, like I'm a mom, I'm a master's student, I'm a teacher, I work
mhm,
full time. I've been married to my husband for 20 years. Like I have things going on, and in my balancing of priorities, it's not learning new rule sets. And so
yeah.
for me, D&D gives me like the best option to have a variety of settings and a variety of, expansion material and stuff out there. But I love to DM. I love the modules because they give me a starting place and
Yeah.
then I can branch out from there. And so I shouldn't say this because at least one of my players is in this thing. There is a potential that they're
Earmuffs.
heading to the Feywild. Yeah, headphones. No, maybe not headphones. Earmuffs, Crystal. Um, there is a
Is the
chance they're heading
game.
to the Feywild, and so like I'm super super excited that stuff is out there, because when I originally went looking, there
Nothing.
wasn't a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's why we wanted to fill in a gap because at the time, hardly
Nothing.
anything out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Until Chris Perkins made the Witchlight and that was like booming. So it's
Witchlight,
really cool.
I
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is a phenomenal
Mhm.
resource, um, but it is like one specific way, and
Mhm.
it does. I like that there is content that's in their subclasses and stuff, and like descriptions and stuff. But I think that as a DM, once I've we're already playing through a module. We're playing
Oh yeah.
through. We started in Lost Mines of Fandelver, and we worked our way through Dragons of Icespire Peak and Stormlord's Wrath, and now
Yeah.
we're in We're at the end of Sleeping Dragon's Wake, heading towards Divine Contention. We've been playing for three
Yeah.
years in
Oh
like two
man, yeah.
weeks. And so I think they just hit level 14, or they're just about to hit level 14, and we're heading into like the final arc. And so I don't need a new mod. I just need the stuff to incorporate.
Yeah,
So
that makes
like,
sense.
yeah,
You
I'm
need
super.
little bites. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and like the little pieces that make it alive,
Yeah.
which is some of the questions I'm going to ask
Oh,
are
sure.
purely for me to help me
Yeah.
think of ideas for my game. Um,
Yeah.
okay, you mentioned that you started playing TTRPGs like in high school. Was there were you still in a small city? Because I hear this a lot from some of my guests, that like it was Satanic Panic or the dredges of that, and like it wasn't cool. How did you get introduced to TTRPG?
Yeah, so I didn't play long in high school, to be honest. I actually had like an experience that wasn't good. So I was like, I'm done with this. So I was
Mhm.
like, video games, tabletop, Fantasy Flight. But yeah, I was playing Vampire the Masquerade and D&D 5e or 3, 5, and just like, you build a character and jump in the
Mhm.
game. But I played one game with like another group, and I'm really creative. I'm all like, I'm gonna bounce a firebolt off the thing and it's gonna hit the. Can I do that? And they're like, no. So back
Oh,
then, 3-5 GMs were very like GM against the players.
right.
And I don't know, I think I had like, they were a bunch of kind of more like rules lawyers and like, oh, you can't do that. And at some point, they're like 600% inflation because of what you're doing in our game. And after that, I was like, I'm never playing this again. And I was a teenager, I was
Right.
young, and I was just like, whatever, you know. But 4E came out later on, and I gave it a try, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I like this. Bought a bunch of books, and then 5E came out. I'm like, this is it. And I was like really addicted. My first 5E table was ran by my friend Alec. There was like 10 plus players at any given time. At shout out to Atomic Comics, you guys rock. So we played every Wednesday, and then we had like a Friday tier 4 game where we played at a friend's house till
Mm.
7 a.m.
When
So
you're
that's kind of where
young.
5e started, and
Mhm.
it was a blast. And then eventually I started DMing, yada yada. But yeah, that's kind of how the things happened.
I
So
think that is a really common thing that we've talked about a lot on this show, and that I just in general talk about, not only with women, but I think for those of us that did have our first experience at a table where likely we were the only woman, even in like the
yep,
nerd group that was playing,
yep,
and we had those experiences. Mine weren't rules lawyers, mine were min-maxers, which is the opposite of
yeah.
what I get enjoyment out of the
War
game.
gamers.
Yeah, and not that they were trying to be mean. They genuinely
Yeah,
wanted me. They were good guys, and like, I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and they've turned into
yeah,
wonderful
yeah,
allies and like good girl dads and everything like that. But they they were playing their game that they wanted for enjoyment, and it
yeah.
was definitely not mine, and nobody told me that I could do. And I don't know that 3.5 lended itself in traditional ways to doing some of that other stuff. And
Yeah, I think it
so,
was more mid-maxy and less RP. Like,
yeah,
how many feats can I stack? Yeah,
yes.
I think that makes
And
sense.
their whole thing about alignment was like they were hardcore about alignment. That was like a rules lawyery thing. And I was like,
Mhm.
but everybody acts
The
against their
gray
own
areas.
self-interest all the time. That's
Yeah,
the human
yeah,
condition. So alignment doesn't mean anything, and alignment is subjective. Anyway, I won't go into that. But anyway, and so I was just like, nah, I'm good. I was the only girl, and like I was on track to be like, hey, Sean, nice to see you, buddy. I was, I still hung out with them. They were still nerds and I was still a nerd,
Yeah.
so like we could watch Star Trek after, or we could play,
Yeah.
we
Nice.
played the original PlayStation, the original Grand Theft Auto, which was like,
Oh yeah,
it was like
vintage.
8-bit, but from above. It wasn't
Yep.
like 3.
Remember that one?
And we would play that for hours. Final Fantasy 7, I think, had just come out,
We were
like
playing Quake around that time.
2001. Yeah.
Quad damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, they were still my friends. They were still nerds.
Yeah.
And so like I would still hang out, but like I would take enjoyment out of like making dinner for everybody and like goofing off with them and getting one of them in trouble for talking when the DM was talking. And like, I was not super interested in the game. And then it took kind of years until later when my longtime mod brought up that she would like to play too. And,
Mhm.
that was 3 years ago. We've been playing pretty much without missing a week. Very rarely do we miss a week. I
That's
think
awesome.
in 3 years, maybe combined, we've missed maybe only 10 weeks. And that's including like Christmases and summer holidays and everything. Like
Amazing.
we're
Yeah, that's impressive.
that group is on it. And I think partially because it's also a family. Like you talked about
Yeah.
gaming with your grandma, and that was a
Mhm.
big deal. Is I play I DM, my husband plays. It's our best friend. And then one of the people that I taught with at a previous school and his 12-year-old daughter. And then my nephew plays with us. And
That's cool.
like my daughter kind of comes and goes from the camp. She's like the Gandalf. She just shows up and then like disappears with her character again.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but that family time I think is so
That's awesome.
important.
Hmm.
So I love that. You said Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh yeah, it's a long time
That's
ago.
okay. I have to.
It's been a really
Okay,
long time
so
since I played that.
potentially, maybe before, because I understand this is a newer clan to the game, but do you have any feelings one way or the other about the Tremere? None. Okay, it's
Yes,
a.
I haven't played any after first edition. I haven't played any Vampire Masquerade since high school. I've been interested in learning about it, but I just don't know anyone who plays it. So
I
I've played a lot of
mean,
systems and
if you want to stream, I will.
agree.
I will connect you with the people over at Vancouver by Night. They're excellent
Cool.
to play with. Anne, who's here in
Okay.
chat, also plays
Got
with
it.
them in the Toronto game.
Maybe.
They're lovely, lovely, wonderful people.
Okay.
So
I'd love to learn.
I will
So
connect you guys.
I'm interested.
The
So
only reason I don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, except I have like one party fact, which
okay.
is that the Tremere have like somehow figured out how to become vampires through like modern day scientific alchemy, blood magic, and they are deeply hated by. They're like the Oakland Raiders of
Like the
like
mystic of D&D, which makes
yeah.
me sad because I love the mystic. Please don't stone me.
Um, they really like their love hate. They're
Okay.
they're very
Yeah.
they're very divisive. So I just like to ask when people say that they have vampire. Did you ever do LARP or cosplay?
No, I've watched LARP because I was like, what's LARP? I like to game. I've watched a few, but I haven't LARPed. I mean, I think I dressed up a few times for Ren Fair back in the day, but I'm not sure that counts.
I
Like,
mean,
I'm a pirate. Yeah.
cosplay, that's a little bit of cosplay, you know.
Yeah, that's it. I'm lazy. I just wear dresses and show up tacos and DM screen. So
That's my kind of
my
player.
magic cards fits a commander situation.
I'm here for it. I am there for it. Okay, talk to me about conventions.
Love gaming conventions, very fun. So before I even got involved in DM skill writing, I just went like I went to Planet Comic Con in Kansas City. I saw like my when Lucius was a baby, like strapped to me. There's a picture of me by like the Star Wars setup, me a little baby. I'm like, nothing will stop me from game conventions. I've been to PAX South. That was super fun. I went to the last one before they stopped it because of COVID. That was a blast. I haven't. I've I've been a virtual vendor, but I haven't been like an in-person vendor yet. It's expensive.
It
You cannot
is.
make a lot doing this.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's one of those things that's like yes, I could go be a teacher in like Bali for a couple of years, but I'm not making money. I am doing it for it is
You should love
lateral
it. Yeah,
cost
it's a
for the
hobby.
experience of living there for a couple of
Yeah.
years. Like,
Yeah.
and that would be the same with like being a small publisher at a convention. It's just that you can go. It's just a tax write-off that wipes out all of your earnings for the year. Yeah. I am going to Gen Con for the first time next
Oh,
week. I
lucky.
can't believe it's already
Nice.
next week. I'm so freaking excited.
So soon.
Oh my gosh. We were, we haven't been on a family vacation in years, and we were just like, it's probably time to go
Cabin fever.
and do
Yeah.
something.
That's
And
cool.
we're all vaccinated and boosted, and like it's probably time. And I went to my family and I was like, okay, this might sound crazy. I always thought I was gonna have to convince them. This might sound crazy, but just mom's doing this stream thing. What do you guys think about? And they were like, can we cosplay? And I was like, sure. And they were
Absolutely.
like, we're in.
That's cool.
So we've been like pulling together my daughter's like cosplay pieces. She's going to go as a
So
video
fun.
game character, which we're super excited about. And we have just moved to the East Coast 2 years ago today. Actually, we got
Oh,
here from the West Coast. Like we lived in Vancouver, Seattle,
oh
like that
yeah, it's
area.
very different. I've lived on all the coasts, and yeah,
Yeah,
each area is very different.
so different. And we're like in New
So
England, which is, its
yeah.
own, very thing. Thanks for the follow, Bards of New York. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, so we're going to Gen Con for the first time. And like, it's so different than, we've been to Emerald City Comic Con. I've been to Emerald City Comic Con, been to San Diego Comic Con. I'm from San
Mhm.
Diego. So like, I remember when it was like
Nice. Oh, that's
5,000
cool.
people and
Yeah.
like weird, rando indie comics, like not a big deal. And then I remember I was there the first year that Marvel came with, it was before Iron Man. So it had to have been the Incredible Hulk. And it was so many people, and I was like, never again. I'm out.
Too many crowds. Too
Too
many.
much. Singless is throwing me under the bus in chat. She says, this is how Sarah approaches all her ideas. This may be crazy, but that's true, actually. That's how Girls Run These Worlds got founded. I went to 3 of the most amazing women that I know, and I was like, this might sound crazy, but I think, and they were like, just stop talking, say less. That's actually what Rhea said. She interrupted me. She was like, I don't need to know the details. I'm in. Whatever it is. Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, it's
Which
awesome.
is so much
Yeah.
fun. Najra had a little bit more. I had to chase Najra down for it. Okay. Can you talk to me? Because we're halfway through, because this thing flies.
Yeah, it does.
It does so much.
Time goes by faster. I'm fun.
So and like fun, right? Like tomorrow's
Yeah.
Friday. Nobody has time for like,
Day of the week.
yeah. Talk to me about dice and dice superstition.
Man. Oh, dice jail.
Do you use a dice
I,
jail?
I I don't personally. One of the gaming stores I went to had this like huge window that said dice jail, and you could drop your dice in there. I don't think you're getting it back out.
You
uh,
that's like dice orphanage. You've abandoned your dice. That's
down in Avernus. See ya. Fun portaling in. Hope the
Peace.
portal ain't broken.
One of our guests, Kat, actually lore mistress, was shared with me that she felt really bad about dice jail, and she just felt like maybe dice are just tired like children, and so she has like a little doll bed, and she just puts her
Okay.
dice to sleep when they're being naughty. And I was like,
So
that's so
adorable. That's
cute. I
cute.
love that so
You
much.
take a nap.
Yeah, just take a nap.
I like that.
Amazing. Okay, so show
Yeah.
me some of your favorite dice and talk to me about what dice superstition. How do you pick dice for characters?
Depends on my mood. I don't know. Like I got different bags. So this is my commander bag. So I've got spin down, not D&D related. My spin downs. I got my number dice for tokens. But I also, if I have to DM, everything I need to GM is in here. I love sparkles, glitter, and pretty colors. I have over 10 years worth of dice because I think I started picking up dice out of the single spin at Pulp Fiction Comics and Games when they were still around. Um, and then they started putting glitter in them and making sets. And I'm like, I need this. And yeah, so I have different bags. Like I have my emergency dice bag in my Jeep. It has all my like really pretty fire red dice and stuff because there have been nights where I've just like, oh, I forgot my dice for commander. It's gonna be really hard to track tokens tonight because I have charge counter tribal. Um, or someone else forgets dice. I have dice. I have my GM bag. I have mason. Probably have several mason jars for the dice. Is the problem. I give away a lot of dice too because I have so
Oh,
many. So if I meet a friend or a kid interested, or I get a new player in a game, I just give stuff away
yeah.
because
And like dice that you get gifted are dice that you hold on to. I give dice when I ran the D&D club at the high school. All of my grade 12s would get dice as their graduation present. Like,
that's
it
super cool.
was, it's like that little piece that like they
Yeah.
remind you of. Do you have any metal dice?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I have several
I
sets of
want to
metal
see
dice.
them. Show
I
us.
have one oh Jesus, yeah, this thing's a monster. This is on
Okay,
my desk,
so
so I tell her where it's my work
if you
desk.
hold it across your hand like this, like if you hold your hand up, that is so big.
So
Who makes that?
it's Kraken dice. I know they're kind of
Kraken
like, yeah.
dice.
But I have like Chesic dice, some different brands. Yeah, metal dice.
That's amazing.
So
So you like sparkle dice. Do you have any sharp edge dice? Have you moved into the sharp edge stuff yet?
I think some of my metal stuff's pointy, but no,
Hmm.
I like stuff that's nice and round and
Hmm.
glitters.
Show me that one. Show me that big chonky
Oh
one because
yeah,
it's
sorry,
so pretty.
yeah, it's
And
like a
who
very
makes
like
this one?
beach look. Also Kraken.
Look, we
And
love it. We'll
then
throw links in
this
the
is
chat for anything.
Magic. These come
Oh,
from the Fat Packs for Magic the Gathering boosters. This one's also super pretty for Magic the Gathering. Gorgeous. Oh, the Chessex Water Lily, I think are like a favorite. I don't know if I have any toward the top here, but yeah, I got stuff that's lots of glitter.
I love that pink
Um,
one. Oh
these
my
are
goodness.
Chessex. These are cool. These are the
Look.
lab dice. So when you set them by the light, when they glow in the dark, they have like a constellation of glowy stars inside. Very beautiful. Thank you, Chessex.
That
Yeah.
my go-to reaching dice. What are those?
So these are counters. These sparkle too for Magic the
Oh.
Gathering. So if you're playing like a token deck or you need to add a +5 to monster, use this. Set that on there to kind of track power and toughness for your creatures on cards. So it's magic. That's my other
I
problem is magic. So
I love that. The person who's coming to watch my house while we're away was one of my former students, and they are obsessed with magic. I will be. I'll just leave this kind of playing in the background while they're there, while they're here. Yeah, my go-to set that I reach for right now as a DM is a Chessex set. I love a Chessex set.
yeah, they're classic. I love Chessex. They're probably a favorite.
Yeah, and they've been around for
Yeah.
I think my very first set of dice was a Chessex dice set.
Mine
Um,
too. I have some of the old school Borealis and stuff. So pretty.
I
So
love it. I love it. So I am a dice goblin. Like, no word of a lie. All of my spending cash for Gen Con is for dice. There. I am not
yeah,
planning on getting literally anything other than
that's where
dice.
Chessex puts out like their test sets and stuff. Like that's the place to be for dice. So
I'm so into it. Somebody was showing me, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was showing me that Gen Con last time they were there did glass dice. And I was like, I
oh,
have
shiny,
metal,
breakable.
I have some sharp edge, I've had commissioned dice, I have chonky dice, I have pride dice, I have like all kinds of dice. I have the big one. My friend got me the big critical role, 35
Yeah,
millimeter.
nice.
And um, I don't have glass. I don't have gemstone dice yet, so I might be coming home with some gemstone
I
dice.
have one gemstone because they're
Do
so
you?
pricey. I got them on a super sale. I got some howlite. They're like kind of like a white, spidery black, like lines in it, kind of like marble. So pretty. Yeah.
So when you're
Yeah.
laying out your dice, either as a DM or as a player, how do you do? Does it have to be
Lazy.
like 20s on top? Does it matter? Are you grouping them
Oh man, I'm the
by
lazy
like type?
DM.
No,
No,
just whatever's
I
there.
used to kind of divide stuff as a player. Now I'm all like two dice trays behind the GM screen. I just dump the dice bag out in one and roll what I need in the other. I'll make sure to have a few D20s out already, but other than that, I'm just like, dump. I don't have time to
Whatever's
organize.
there. Do you play in
Yeah.
person or do you play online? You play both. What do you
So
prefer?
I like in person, just because you're around humans,
Yeah.
especially after like pandemic. I took it really seriously
Mm.
because I got super sick the first
Oh,
time, so I stayed in a lot. But I don't know, it's something nice about being around friends and
yeah.
seeing people. But online's fun too because it's an opportunity to like play test games with people I wouldn't see if I weren't online because they live all over the country.
Right.
So I think there's a benefit from both. So yeah, shout
I
out to everyone who playtests my stuff. You guys are awesome. We always have off the rails good time.
I
So
I love that so much. We were forced to take our game online because of COVID, and then we decided, a couple months into COVID, um, that the West Coast was too expensive. We were gonna pack up and move across the country, and so our game has stayed online for the 2 years, 2.5-ish years that
yeah.
COVID's been going, and it's fine. Like we it's working for us. I don't know why my computer just kicked on. It's working for us, but I definitely miss playing in person for sure.
Yeah.
There is something
Mhm.
about just being able to like whisper or tell those jokes that like
Hit the note.
yeah, when you have
Yep.
microphones on, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Um, and although I will say that we can send gifts in like Facebook Messenger and
Or
stuff,
in the
and you can't,
Discord. Yeah.
so like there's ways back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to DM or do you prefer to play?
I was like both. I need that both meme from that movie. That's me. I don't know, like gymming's a lot of work, like prep and stuff, especially like I ran module for the first time with like for a group of friends and it's a lot of reading. I'm usually a homebrew DM. I'm like, this is so much homework. But I also like to play because it's like when you're a player, you don't have to prep a whole lot. You just show up and have a good time. So, I like doing both. I'm usually like a forever GM though, so it is
I
really nice when I get to play.
Yes, I don't really play in very much. I am much too much of a control freak
Oh,
to I mean, I say it kind of jokingly, but also kind of not jokingly. I really I like knowing stuff. And I like playing all the characters.
yeah.
Um, but okay, so do you ever fudge dice as a DM? What the dice roll is what the dice roll.
No, if something bad happens, it's like if it's my fault, like, oh no, I squished a level one character because I'm used to running tier three. I will make the creature. I've had one time I did that. I'm like, creature runs away before he kills everybody, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I may fudge story a little bit, but not dice. And if someone does die, you oh no, you I asked player, do you like your character? Yay or nay?
Mm,
Because if you do, we can go on a quest to resurrect them. There will be
right.
consequences, but this could be a good time.
Right.
So there you can always quest your way out of everything.
Mhm.
So I don't. It's like whatever happens, happens. It's part of the game. Sorry, folks. So,
I oh man, I'm
um,
so okay, so the follow-up question obviously is as a DM, there's a difference between being a rules lawyer and being somebody who
not me.
who does, the rules are there to give focus to the world, right?
I'm a rules are for guidance kind of person. I'm
Okay.
definitely not a rules lawyer in Magic or in D&D.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like I 100% agree with you. The rules will get yeeted to Avernus itself if the story is cooler, if like the narrative is
Yeah.
good, if
Yeah.
if the whatever's happening serves a purpose, rules can go right out the window. I am
Yeah.
I am much more interested in the narrative cinematic elements. But I think for me, that's true about dice too. Dice are just another player at my table. And if any player at my table is not behaving and being a team player, not that there aren't good consequences. I killed a player in the second ever stream that I ran. So look, sometimes there's consequences,
Yeah.
but I've killed a lot of players on streams, and I don't know how I feel about that because I'm not that usually kind of GM, but it
Yeah.
serves the narrative, like it serves the story, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm also not afraid to
yeah,
look stuff up too. So, because
right,
I'm like, tell me, I'm kind of like, I'm with Matt Colville. Players should know what their
yes,
characters do because I can't
agreed,
memorize it all. I know the GM said. So I'll be like, hey, like, tell the group what that does, and it helps everyone learn what things do.
yeah,
But I'm not afraid to look stuff up. Like, I don't remember that one. Like, hold on a second while you're doing this thing. So I'll look stuff up too because
yeah,
I can know some of the rules, but if it's in the name of fun and someone's like, "Hey, can I do a thing?" I'm like, "Roll for it." That's a yes.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Colville, I think watching kind of those early, like how to DM and like watching his campaign diaries of this is what I thought would happen, this is what the players did, this is how I managed it, was
Yeah.
really helpful to me when I was starting to DM. And he does make a lot of points. And for
Yeah.
me, especially now that we're 3 years into a campaign, I'm not going to tell my players if they're not utilizing all of their abilities. We are well past, maybe
Oh,
maybe a
yeah, that's up to the
year
other
ago.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they wanna bring it up, that's fine, but
Yes.
yeah.
And like, so maybe a year ago,
Yeah.
I would have said, like, hey, don't forget you do have this ability. Go look it up and you tell me if you want to use it. But now, like, I am going to balance my combat for and puzzles and challenges for what I know your character can do. If you don't know your character can do that, that's not on me. Like, it's your character. You built it. You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Um, in Okay, so we talked about your Feywild compendiums. Talk to me
Mhm.
about the Sea Shanties compendium.
Ah, sea shanties. You can blame Steve Colbert for that. Yeah, I was like, he did some bit. It's the year of the sea shanty. I'm like, I could make that D&D. So it kind of came from the point of bards don't get a lot of stuff. Every once in a while, I like to play bard with a dipping wizard, and like wizard, it's like you get stabs, robes, daggers. Oh my, fighter, swords, armor, monks, bards. Sorry, you don't get a whole lot.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make something special for the bard. I got a team of really great creators together. We did 9 writers, 11 artists, etc. Um, we wrote D&D theme songs around public domain shanty tunes like the Wellerman, uh, slash folk songs.
Mhm, mhm.
We also did locations that serve as treasure. A little shout out for you 3-5 players because I love that in DMG too. Trinkets and magic items. And just it's all for the bard and cool stuff they can do. Yeah, that's what it is.
I
So,
love that so much. I'm going to throw your information in chat in case anybody wants to go get it. You can find Elisa's stuff on DM's Guild. Um, I One of my favoriteest characters is a bard. She's a
mhm.
Kalashtar College of Creation bard. And she's just so cool. And you're right, like so much of what a modern bard is in like so much of what is out there for 5e is like you're going to take this thing that's meant for somebody else and you're going to like warp it and it's going to be cool in your hands but it wasn't made for you.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the plight of the artist anyway, like I think that that's very allegorical, but
Yeah, I can see that.
you
Yeah.
know but I super appreciate whenever I come across new bard stuff in particular.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that I have is
Mhm.
you have been able to manage these to get these groups of people together to create
Oh, yeah.
amazing things. How do you just you just slide into people's DMs and ask?
Not usually. I did for a few people for sea shanties, but Normally I don't. So I come from the world of Hit Record, which has nothing to do with D&D. And they no longer do productions. But there it was very group oriented. We're gonna make a mini documentary together, a book together, etc. And we always had big groups of people doing it. So that's just kind of how I'm used to functioning. So I just got on Twitter and like call for creators, or I get my Discord call for creators. I do submission process. Because I get hundreds of submissions and
Mhm.
I only have like 20 writer slots and so many artist slots. Um, and I've kind of changed like onboarding, for example, to streamline it because I used to get like all the creators on at once, and it's like not everyone has work to do. So we do writers first, and then once work's ready for artists, and we onboard artists and editors, and then keep going down the line. But yeah, I feel fortunate that people respond to those calls for creators and make submissions. I work with an amazing group of humans. Everyone's really chill. Everyone gets along. Like, it's amazing seeing the art process. Like, we got artists who are like super professional, work in the industry, to people brand new. Same with writers. I'm always letting new people in the door. And, people are always really helpful, always giving positive comments, ways to improve their art. And I've just, like, with writers I've worked with and artists, I've watched them grow and develop into stronger creators, and just each project getting better at the craft. And then I see new people who'd never done this before. My project was their first one. Then they're out publishing other stuff and
Mhm.
starting their own projects or joining other groups. And that feels so good that, I could help people like open that door for folks. And I don't know, because I think introducing new creators is super important. In most projects, there's always at least a handful of new folks who've never been published before. So yeah, just huge shout out to all my creative teams. Like I could not do any of this without them. So yeah.
I love that. That
Um,
is that is like a founding principle of Girls Run These Worlds is we wanted to mix, like we saw that, especially with like some of the early people who came on board and were like we would like to run a show for you. We
mhm.
have, I mean, not this sounds so douchey. We have some people who are fairly well known in the TTRPG community who are running shows for us. And
Oh, nice.
we always, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that they want to tell stories, and that they want us to, that they allow us to help them tell their stories. Um, but I think one of the things for us is we didn't necessarily just want to take a cast that was somewhere else and put them here. We're not totally opposed to that, but
Hmm.
we wanted people to mix with other people. And so that is something that we look for as we're going through and casting new shows or one shots. We are looking for a variety of people who, have a lot of experience and have no
Hmm.
experience. And this
Awesome.
group of, we've just onboarded our first set of new producers who we're going to
Oh,
teach
nice.
how to stream and how to use Streamlabs and all of the streaming technology. We're going to just teach people how to produce. And with that same idea, I think that, that probably you have as well of we're going to do it with integrity. We're going to do it with best intention. We're going to do it the way that it should have been done in previous experiences that weren't great for us. And so by setting the bar high, people won't accept lower than that. And
Yeah.
specifically women and femme identifying people
Yeah.
will not accept lower than that. So,
Good.
I totally hear you. That is right in line with, what we're doing here. Um, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm always glad to meet other creatives who are like, yeah, we got to give new people a place to to start because Abria wasn't always Abria and Matt Mercer wasn't always Matt Mercer,
Yep.
like everybody starts somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And I got a lot of that from Hit Record. And I think I started with them in 2013 of just like community values. And, even with my royalty shares, everyone gets a cut every sale all the time.
I love
So
that. I kind of knew that Hit Record was going on, but I had like a newborn at the time, and
it's
also
still
like being
lit.
in Canada, some
Yeah.
of it was like, like it wasn't always the super easiest to join into by the time I was kind of looking at it. But I think like it really does speak to the potential. For those of you who don't know what Hit Record is, so this is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Put
He's the
together
lead
this
producer. Yep.
yeah, put together this like I don't even know what
It's
community.
a community website. So him and when his brother was still alive, built it.
Mm,
It started out like as like a message board and stuff. And it slowly grew. It was just like people putting up art, sharing art, and then a big part of it record is remixing. So taking someone's writing and making a short film out of it, or a book, or something else. So we're always like remixing stuff. They no longer do productions as of last year because the crew joined it's what Neil Gaiman does. He
mhm.
does I forget what it's called, where you pay a subscription and
The
they train you.
masterclass.
They join Masterclass.
Yeah.
So the community's still there. You can still go over there and create stuff. I've been there since 2013. My first books I've been a part of published were through there. I've been in mini docs, all kind of just random stuff, trying creative things I never would have done before.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I feel like that experience really shaped me as a creator because I did it all through college. And I think it really affects how I lead projects myself
Mhm.
as a creator. And so,
I want to get into like, I know we've been talking about nerdy stuff, but I want to get into a specific level of detail nerd. What project management software do you use? Like
uh,
Google Docs, or are you using like Asana,
oh, okay.
Trello, Notion? Like, what are you using?
Not a whole lot. Like I've been in a day job, I've been a PM as well. But I just use Google Docs for everything. I'm very organized, so I have like spreadsheets and folders and schedules and project guidelines, expectations. And it didn't all start out like that day one. It's
Mm,
kind of like an organic process. Like as I go through each project, folks will give me feedback like, oh, I'd really like to have a peer review sheet or a peer review
mm.
process. I'm like, let's do it. So some of it's just come from people's ideas. And it's slowly grown over time. So,
Yeah,
but nothing fancy.
nothing fancy.
Google's free.
We needed
So,
something. There was four of
yeah.
us that started Girls Run These Worlds, and we needed something. We started with Trello, but like I think we're starting to see the limitations of it, and I'm just curious from other project managers who are doing like similar, group and collaborative stuff. I
Yeah.
always ask the question. So okay, but we're like a Google Apps company, so
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, we have 10 minutes left. I still have
Okay.
so many more questions. Um,
Okay, all the time.
uh, what is an NPC that you've created or has been in a game that you've played that others should know about and should use in their campaigns?
Oh, I don't know if they should, but I've had NPCs that have just been like thrown in there that I didn't expect would last more than a session and were there for the rest of the campaign. So I don't know, I always like turn the heel on the tropes. So one of them is Allison, she was a necromancer, good aligned necromancer, but she had like a bag of bones in the back of the wagon, and she was like the ride to the quest. And they liked her so much, they'd always go to the Mages Guild, be like, "Hey, we need help." Or, um, ah, yeah, I don't
That's so
know.
cool. Okay, so a necromancer, there you go. A necromancer with a
Yeah,
cart. It will
good
get
line.
people on their way with a wagon. Love that. I'm always, mostly I ask this question for
Recycling.
myself. Yeah, that's, like
It's
Uber, like
progressive.
fantasy Uber. It's fine. I love that.
Yeah.
And with a bag of bones, that might actually be like Uber. I've seen TikToks about shit like that. Um, Okay. Uh, Another question that I have is you've talked about some of the amazing people who are in chat tonight. Who are other people that inspire you and that you look at their work or their ethic or their products and you're just like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. In the DM Guild community, it would be one of them's the person that opened the door for me, which is Micah Watt, Pyromaniac Press. If you have not seen his stuff, it's amazing. He's super talented. He's an awesome group lead. I know how he leads groups has also influenced how I do things. Alan Tucker's another good one. He has the Indie Game Cooperative. It's such a peaceful, cool space. Alan Tucker leads really great projects all the time. And sometimes he does challenges. So the last one was the GM Jam. We were challenged to make one-page games using dice or pogs or tokens, just to see if we could do it. I made a couple one-page TTRPGs I put on each.io. But it's just a really great place to learn the craft. PM Alan Tucker online if you want to get access to the really cool Discord. Um, Big picture, outside of the DM's Guild space, I think Ridley Scott's a big one for me. He started in commercials, but he's also an artist, and he has a really unique perspective on how he leads a team of people to make movies, how beautiful a scene is. Um, just he makes amazing films, and you can tell that artist perspective is there, and he's really big with like building a team. And I don't know, I like watching videos on different people who are leading creative teams, even if it's outside of writing. Um, Chuck Palahniuk is another one. So he is a horror writer. I've been in his Substack. Part of that group is almost like a writer's workshop since January. I still have lots to learn in minimalism, but I feel like I've learned a ton as a writer. It's actually helped inspire the next trilogy of books I have coming out. Sneak peek. Will be Far Realms, and it will be Lovecraftian themes. So stay tuned in the next year or so. But we haven't started production yet. It's currently in development. So yeah, just Chuck and everyone over in that stack, we have a Discord on the side, which is kind of where we just talk about writing and books, and such a fabulous learning experience. His stuff is a little HBO, a little rated R, just a warning. But he is a horror novelist and he writes for Shock Factor. So keep that in mind. All my stuff's family friendly. But yeah, so I feel really fortunate to be a part of that group and that learning experience. So
I love that. Ridley Scott and his brother did a TV show that I think premiered the year that I got married to my husband. And
is it Raised by Wolves?
No, it was called Numbers.
Okay. Oh, that. Okay, cool.
Holy smokes. It was about like a hardcore math nerd who was like a professor at like Los Angeles Caltech or CalMath or something like that, CalSci. And his brother is an FBI agent, and they solve FBI things using math. And the way that they did it was like, you know how like BBC Sherlock has very cool graphics in it? That stuff is from Numbers. Like Numbers did that stuff 20 years ago. It was so good. But of course, like my favorite Ridley Scott, and I don't care, people can get mad at me, pound sand. The Martian is my comfort movie.
That's like, a good movie.
Holy,
like that
it's
one.
A great book. It's a great book and such a good movie. I definitely, like, when I get the flu, I will just like put it on repeat so that when I fall asleep, like when I pass out and then I wake back up, I'll know about how long I was asleep based on where that movie is,
Yeah, my favorites live Gladiator,
Gladiator's so good.
And Exodus is pretty cool. But I love history. His history stuff is perfect.
So good.
So good.
I love that so much. Well, look, that's about all the time that we have, which this hour flies by every week. I'm always surprised. But thank you so much. Tell everybody, like, I know we've talked about some of your projects, but go over it one more time. Pitch an idea for what you want to do. This is going to live on YouTube, so...
Sorry. So hey everyone, I'm Elise. A lot of people see me on Twitter at DND Elise with the letter N. I'm on the DM's Guild under Elise Cartel. I'm now brand new on each.io it's DND Elise. If you're interested in free one-page TTRPGs, I think there's some older stuff on DirectlyRPG as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in the internet space. So if anyone ever wants to collab, PM me. So
I love that. Anne in chat just asked, Elise on Girls Run These Worlds soon. I was literally just talking that I'm going to slide the creator app into her DMs because we want to run some of her stuff. We love supporting game developers. So I'm going to slide that app into DMs. very quickly after this. Thank you for
Yeah.
being on here. Thank you,
Yeah,
everybody,
thank
for
you.
being here on Girls Run These
Yeah.
Worlds. Hit follow, and come back and see us. We run 7 or 8. We have 20 shows, 20, more than that actually now, but I can't talk about that. We have at least 20 shows in production, and we air
Amazing.
starting this week, I think, through all of August and September. We're running 7 days a week. And tonight, actually, right after this, nobody go away. We're not going to raid after this because we're going to go down and immediately, like, not immediately, but in a few minutes, come back up because it's dark rites and other forms of exploitation, which is a Deviant the Renegade stream, which lives in the Vampire the Masquerade world.
Very cool.
Tomorrow night, we have Candlekeep Mysteries. It's MISS. Come on. Candlekeep Mysteries. And then starting Sunday is our very first Mythic Odyssey of Theros. It's called Therosian Odyssey, Strands of Fate, with Lore Mistress Cat as the DM and a phenomenal cast. And we've really outdone ourselves with the overlay for that particular show. I'm super, super stoked about that. Thank you to Baba Yaga for helping me out with that overlay. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Like I said, don't go anywhere. Just sit and chat. Just hang for a few minutes. We're going to be right back. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Elise, for being my guest. And let us know whenever you're doing new stuff.
Scheduling aligns.
Yes.
We're happy to run the things. So I love GMing.
We'd love it.
So.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, channel announcement. We are going dark starting Wednesday, August 3rd for 1 week. As a channel, we are going dark. We're shutting all production down so that everybody can have a break. So many of us are going to Gen Con, which is exciting. I'll finally get to meet some people in real life that I've been mutuals with forever. But just as a channel notice, everything will be dark starting next week for just 1 week. And then we'll see you after that. Thanks, everybody, for being here with us. We will see you in 2 weeks with... I'm always supposed to have my calendar open. Elise, every
wizard magic
every week. In post-production, this will be fixed. In 2 weeks, on Thursday, August 11th, Lexi at Black Girl Mage is going to be my guest, and I'm super stoked about that. And then the following week, Lauren Oboe is going to be my guest.
Cool.
Oboe Lauren, I'm so excited about both of those guests. And then I've also got Joe from Vancouver by Night coming up. It's going to be a great stream, great month, August. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye.